MKE, Blue Book Milwaukee, and the creator of the Let's Level Up Your Business 5-Day Challenge. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that with conversion rates, because I get a lot of questions about that. Like, Steve, what should my conversion rate be? How much should it be costing me for a lead? Like, they'll ask me all of those questions. I'm like, I understand, because I used to, worry a lot about that, and you should be worried about it, but you should be more in the mode of solving the problems. But I'm going to show you how, number one, understanding your conversion rates, understanding how much it costs you to even be able to present and generate leads for your business, that's actually going to determine how much you should be charging for your product or service. Because a lot of people are charging too little for their product or service that won't even allow their business to survive. Well, I don't even want to say survive, to allow their business to thrive. A lot of businesses are like surviving barely, the owner is working their self to the bone. They can't do nothing. The extra money that they have is usually from credit, and they're paying down that credit from their business. I'm talking about how to put yourself in a position to be able to really make a difference for yourself and your family, and to like grow your business or to get your business off the ground. What I always go and try to research, and I come across different things, and there was a PDF from a company that provided, they had, like, I guess they did some research from their clients, and they were talking about, we know the cost, they broke down for industries as different products and services, how much it would cost for a click. It had how much it would cost, the click-through rate, and the cost per lead, and the average conversion rate. And, they had that all put they had it all in this nice package, but I was like, they didn't go into enough detail. And I believe that might be because they know that business owners are busy. They don't want to get all up into those types of details. But I think that it makes it confusing for individuals if they don't have all of the information, because there's going to be like gaps and holes in the whole thing that they're reading about. And they're like, this really didn't solve the problem for me. So what I want to do is I want to help solve that problem. And I know that we live in a do-it-yourself society. That's why I make videos and I just put it out there. Hey, this is what you need to do. I do offer trainings, and I have my 5-day challenge where I go into more depth about how to get your business out of that survival mode, or how to get your business out of that bargain basement type pricing mode, because you're just not going to be able to make it on there. I've went through that in the past, and I'm telling you, if you can't be in business charging what you need to charge, charging what you believe is your value on yourself, your product or service, you're going to be in a commodity type market, and you're just not going to be able to make it. I see so many products and services and business owners just end up quitting because they stay in that mode. If you just make that flip and understand, you won't be in that mode. But one of the ways that I get across, and how I got it in my mind that you got to raise the price, is by understanding this information here about marketing, about what it actually costs you to get a client, what it actually costs you to even be seen by potential clients. In their example, I'm going to take one that they had, which is auto repair shop. Reason why I chose that one is because if you think about it, really the only difference between one auto repair shop and another auto repair shop on the basis like that most people will judge them by is if they got a good reputation and if they look professional. But even with that being said, you see a lot of these smaller shops, they're able to make it. They're surviving in that survival mode. But you would think that if most people who came into an auto shop, or who searched for an auto shop and actually went in there, that probably the conversion rate would be just like exploded, that it would be like in 80%. You probably thinking that way. Well, according to their data, it is not that. And I can even back that up because I'm in the advertising business for the last 33 years. And I know that it is not that high. And that's why so many business owners end up getting into business that they think is going to just bring in people, because there's got to be, like, for this example, there's cars everywhere. If I open up a shop, I've got to be able to make it. Well, I'm going to show you why a lot of them don't make it. So the first thing that you need to understand is that there's a CPM when it comes to online advertising. There's actually a CPM for any advertising, for billboards, for TV, radio, all of that. There's always a CPM. The difference between online advertising and offline advertising is that you actually feel the CPM because you see it go by every day. The way that advertising works online is that you see that money go out, and it's different when you just paid a certain rate and you just knew you had a certain amount of spots or you had a certain amount of ads in print. But when you see a daily CPM, it kind of gets into the mind of the business owner like, okay, I'm spending this amount of money every day and I don't see that return. So they get scared and they're just like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work. When you don't see that CPM, when you don't see these types of numbers and you're just waiting on the calls or people to come in, it allows the business owner to kind of be a little bit more calm because it's not right there in their face. But on their example, I'm going to show you what they had from their example. But I did have to put this in there because they didn't have that in there. So I want to kind of show you how this whole thing would work. So CPM is the cost per 1,000 people to see your ad. So that's what a CPM is. And I'm just going to say that you have a $10 CPM. So to get to the numbers that they had in the rest of their example, you would need, and I'm just estimating, a $50 a day ad budget. $50 a day. So we're talking $350 a week for your ads. So now with a $50 a day budget, with a $10 CPM, that means you would get 5,000 views. 5,000 people would see your ad on a daily basis. Now, from their example that they showed, it was a 5.39% average click-through rate on the 5,000 views. So that means that 269, and they had, the 0.5 clicks would go through that 5,000 for what you had to offer. Now, I'll talk about in a minute on how you increase that and make that better, but I'm telling you that this is the numbers that they had. So now, with the cost per lead, so that means that if someone was to call, fill out a form, walk in the door, they were averaging for the auto repair shop $17.81. And then they said that, so that would, and the conversion rate on the leads, well, the cost per lead, the cost per lead was $7.81, and when you divide that out of this, it ended up being 15 leads that would come in. So out of the 269 clicks, only 15 people would show up, call, or fill out a form. And then they said of the 15 people, the average was 15.23% conversion rate, which averages is more than, like 2 point something, but it's 2 sales. So of the 15%, it would equal 2 sales. So now, what I learned, I'll just tell you flat out what I learned from doing these types of exercises for my business is that those 2 sales must pay for the advertising, the building that you're leasing, the taxes, expenses, payroll, and also yourself. So you're not just sitting there doing your business for nothing. Now, you might be saying, well, if it's an auto repair shop, they're gonna charge a lot if it's a big repair. They're gonna charge a lot. They're not gonna do it for cheap. And what if someone comes in for an oil change? They're not charging that amount for an oil change. That's why you got to be very careful about how you price your products. You got to be very careful on how you are, number one, getting people to come in and buy your product or service. So what I do, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is very important, because what most people do is they just keep focusing on the conversion rate itself, but they're not doing the things to fix the conversion rate. This is what I do. So the first thing that I would do is I would work on the CPM. I would say, okay, am I getting the best CPM? And some of the times there's nothing you could do, because the platforms are going to base. That's like their amount that they charge to be able to have a certain amount of people see your ad. So that rate, that right there may not be able to be changed. But what you can start working on is the percentage rate of that amount of views that sees your ad. You want to make a better offer. So if you make a better offer, you can end up increasing this. And that's actually what they did talk about in that PDF, is they said that if that rate is not high enough for you, the things that you should do, and these are the things that I would advise you to do, is to start working on your ads. So this is in relation to your ad. How do I get more for that same $50? How do I get more of those 5,000 viewers who saw and were interested in what I had to offer? And let me make a distinguishing of something. This is search advertising. When you're doing like Facebook, billboards, TV, radio, these numbers are going to be wildly different. The reason why is because all 5,000 views are not interested in what you had to offer. So that's why you have to be even more of a specialist in making ads, because a large amount of the people that might see your ad may not even need your service or even want your service. But that's the difference between running Facebook, Instagram, TikTok ads, YouTube ads, and then what's the difference between running a pay-per-click ad? Pay-per-click ad is everyone was searching for what you had to offer, but if you think about it, there's usually only 4 spots that are available, and that could make your cost to get that CPM cost go up. That's why you got to be very careful on the pricing of your product. So we're going to work on the ad to get this number higher. And then whatever way that you're taking in the leads, you need to work on that. If you're utilizing a form where people fill out the information for you to call them back, you need to make sure that that form represents and stays consistent, number one, with the ad, because believe it or not, the form is like having another ad. The form is like having another ad. I've noticed that when I worked on my forms that came from my ads, like I do this a lot with Facebook lead ad advertising. The advertisement gets a good click-through rate, and the form was not converting with a high enough number that I was satisfied with. And rather than changing the ad, what I did is I changed what was said on the form. The form needs to be consistent, but there might be some things that you might want to add to that form to be able to make it more enticing for the individual to lead their information. Also, you got to make sure that you're not making people think that they're buying something when they're opting in on your form. I know that it sounds elementary for me to say that, but I see a lot of people doing that, where they give that feeling. And you got to even be careful on some of the platforms. The button that they put first is like download or sign up. Using those types of words can scare people. If you're downloading that, if you're giving a free download, yeah, but signing up, nobody wants to, hit a sign up button unless they're 100% sure of what they're about to do. So you want to work on that. You want to get that number down. You can get that cost per lead number down if you're working on that form. And then another thing is, if you're having people call you, make sure that people are professional when they answer the phone. Make sure you're professional. Make sure you're answering those calls, because one of the things that I noticed in the towing industry is that there were several issues that we had to work out with our tow/junk car buying companies. Number one is answer your phone, because if you miss that call, you're raising your cost per lead up. Because just because you didn't talk to them does not mean that that was not a lead. That's on you, and the business owner needs to take responsibility for that and know that that's on them. And so when you answer the phone, you need to be professional. You need to make sure that they know that you are a business, because if you don't, you're raising your cost per lead. So be very careful with that. And then, so you have if you're filling out a form, if they're calling, and if they're coming into your store, my wife is very big on this. That store needs to be represented. It needs to be in order, because you don't want to do the hard work, invite someone in to buy something what you got, and they're like, I won't buy from this place regardless if they have what I'm asking for, because it just doesn't look like a place that I want to shop at. My wife and I went, there was this bargains place that I saw on the news this past weekend, and I was telling my wife, what it looks like what they got is just stuff from crates or boxes of stuff that they bought, and they just put it out for everybody to go and buy it. Just grab what you want and buy from it. But it looked different on TV. But when we went in there, it was just a mess. They just had tables, and they just threw the stuff on there, and people picked through them. Yeah, you're going to have some people do that. But for my wife and I, the type of clients that we are, the type of customers that we are, we don't want to go through that. I'll pay, just like this shirt that I got on. This shirt here costs $210. I'm going to be that type of shopper. And you probably would want to cater to those types of shoppers, because they're going to be less headaches. They're not going to want to, I don't know. I don't want to be like I'm trying to talk down on certain people, but there certain types of shoppers. And when we went into that place, it was just a big mess, and we just didn't want to be a part of it. So we have a retail store, and when people come in, my wife made it a very big point that everything has to be organized, professional. She designed the whole store, and people understand from the ad when they see it, and when they come into the store, they're getting exactly what they expected. So that has to be taken care of. If you're an online business or if you're a storefront business, or if you're just a service business where people are calling, that needs to be taken care of, because if you don't take care of that, your cost per lead is going to go up, because you're going to have people walking in the store and they're going to be like, turn it around, and you paid to get them there by your advertisement. Or people are going to be calling. They're going to say, I don't want to deal, this person doesn't sound professional. Even if they talk to you, they're going to be like, well, I'll think about it. When you hear I think about it, that means me as a business owner, I always say, well, what did I maybe not do? I evaluate the call. And then if on the form, obviously I just talked about that, I evaluate the form to make it better. So now understanding that if you can get this lower, where you have this number higher, even if you kept the same conversion rate, you would be able to get more sales. Maybe you can turn that, instead of that 15%, because you got this higher where you had like 25 leads, and you were able to make that into 5 sales rather than 2 sales. And that would increase your revenue for the same amount of money that you're spending. You would be able to increase your revenue. So rather than just focusing on the conversion rate itself, because most people know how to provide their service, they just don't know how to have the other stuff in order to be able to allow them to be able to provide their service at a level that they expect everyone to want to buy from them. And that's where the problem usually lies. But I admit, I used to, sit here. I used to like just be thinking, what can I do to bring up that conversion rate? And I wasn't even looking at all of these other different things that's within there. Like one of the things that I learned when I really put this together, um, uh, like on one with one of my ads, I used to spend $100. I was able to cut that for one of my companies down. And what I do with that company is I have a budget for each one of my sales reps, and I was spending $100 a day for them. When I ended up chopping that down in half to $50 a day for each of them to be able to get leads and to call people back. And that shows you with that savings. But then another thing that I had figured out, for me to be able to do all of this stuff here and especially pay myself, because I'm not doing the business, number one, for free. I'm not doing the business to just pay other people. I'm doing the business for me and my family to be able to make a lot of money. So for me to be able to do that and to do all of this stuff here, and you know that there's always additional expenses, for me to be able to do that, I had to raise price. As a matter of fact, I just, on another service that I offer with one of my companies, I was charging, just go right here, just put a, I can't erase this. I was charging $100 for this service. For the longest, I was charging $149 for service. And I thought to myself, number one, with that service, what we do for this is, number one, saving the consumer a lot of money. Like I'm talking about, the value on that is huge on what we've done with that particular service, with that business. And so what we did, and this was an additional service within a business. So I was looking at it more as, this is just extra money that we could make. On some days we could sell like 3 or 4 of them. Some days we might sell 10 of them. And we were just like, okay, this is just an additional. But something that I found is that it was taking about an hour of time, about 1 hour of time. And I was like, I need to reevaluate what we're doing. And when I thought about it, I was like, well, let me double it. So if I doubled it, that would be what, $298 and some change if I was to double it. And I thought about that and I was like, well, why don't I even make it more? And I ended up going on the price. So now, ended up being $349.95. It still takes up to 1 hour. Some of them doesn't take an hour, but it takes up to an hour. And I said that, okay, for the time, because you got to remember the value. What is the value of yourself and your time? That's what we're talking about with everything that we do in business. And I've learned that people, number one, there's a few things that you need to think about. Number one, the more expensive something is, people don't think that it's cheap. They think that it's expensive. If you were to go to look at something that you wanted to buy and it costs a lot of money, you don't think that it's cheap and costs a lot of money. You just think that it's expensive. And then you look inward and you say, I just can't afford it. That's the type of thought process you need to have with your business. Now, you might be saying, well, Steve, then I'm going to make less sales. Well, think about this. I more than doubled the price. And we're selling these now. As a matter of fact, we're selling these now because we raised the price at a higher rate than we were selling them with the lower rate, because the value, people think the value is more. You're going to do more for their money than less for their money. That's why you got to be very careful about being cheap. That's why I talked about what type of people was that one company bringing in, based different off of the type of customer that my wife and I are for certain stores. I'm buying $200 shirts, $300 shirts, and they're buying $5 and $1 shirts in there. So it takes a whole bunch of them to get to a $200 shirt buyer, when it just takes one of me to walk in and you got a $200 shirt buyer. But to get to that level, you got to have your business in order to be able to do that. So when you're raising your prices, that's why I said it's very important. Like with my wife, with the store, what I do with my business, you can't just raise your price. You have to raise the value proposition of what you're going to do for that price. And you might be thinking, well, I got to throw in all of this stuff. No, you just need to define exactly what you're doing for that individual. When I raise the price, you might be thinking I changed what I was doing. No, I didn't change. I didn't even change the video that I was making for this price. I just changed the price, and the conversion rate went up because the value of the price. Now, on the other side about paying myself, what we talk about with business, you don't go into business just to pay the workers. You don't go into business just to pay your bills. You go into business to get rich. Look, I'm getting more time back for what it takes for us to provide that service. More, it's allowing employees to do more because now we've getting a more better price, and we're spending the same amount of time, but we're getting a better price for what we're doing. So that allows me to be able to pay that employee a little bit more money, allows me to be able to make more money, but it's allowing us to be able to put more into the for that customer. So we're not just rampage with a whole bunch of cheaper customers. We moved it up, and now we have more customers that are at a different level. And something that I want to tell you is that if you don't notice already, a customer that is at a higher thought process level, is going to be a lot better customer for you. Trust me. Cheap customers are always problems. Cheap customers are always problems because all they do is buy stuff based on cheap. They don't buy stuff based on value. And you want to make sure that your business is looked at for value, not looked at for being cheap. So please like this video. Please post your question and comments. If I confused you about something, I apologize. I'll answer it in the comments. There's a link below so you can get on my list for the next Level Up Your Business 5-day challenge. We're going to be having one a month at the beginning, and then we'll expand on that, where we're going to show you how to take your business from surviving to thriving. One of the big goals on there is I want to show people, if you're not already at that, where you can, go from $0 to $50,000 per month in a year. I'm going to show you the exact formula that I use, and then to go higher than that, where you can go from $50,000 a month, where you can, go to $100,000 or $200,000 a month, which is my experience. So the links are below this video. If you would like to have a consultation call, I do a lot of those where I just, hear you out on what you're going through with your business and give you some pointers so you can get pointed in the right direction. I have 33 years plus of experience in advertising and marketing businesses. I went to stores, online business, cell phone stores, car shops, home care, office accounting places, like all of those businesses. When business owners have one thing in common, they may do different things, but they all have one thing in common, is that no matter what type of business you have to do advertising to get to more people exposure about your business. A lot of business owners don't know how to do that, and that's why I want to help and teach people. I'm at a time in my life where I'm just, where I feel very comfortable being able to consult with people rather than having my staff or my company do the work. But we still do for companies, But you know, it comes a time where, and where I see where business owners are at and where they need to just learn how to do this. A lot of them want to learn to do it themselves. All right, thank you for your time. Please subscribe to the channel. Please post your questions and comments. Links are below this video for services that I provide and for the 5-day challenge. This is Stephen A. Williams, president, founder, and creator of Blue Book MKE and Let's Level Up Your Business 5-day challenge.